He strikes fear in the imagination. Is it real or myth? And why hasn't anyone captured a Sasquatch? With all the leading technology scientists have today, why haven't they found definitive evidence? And what do indigenous peoples know? And what are they finally ready to share with the world? Now, speaking openly to our indigenous film crew, we'll discover new information that may change everything we thought we knew. This journey takes us into secret societies, to places beyond the imagination, and to a remarkable conclusion you didn't see coming. In British Columbia, Canada, lays a sleepy fishing village called Alert Bay. It's here that has become the new epicenter of sightings.
A lot of Junakwa and other societies have been kept secret to the Western public because of our spirituality and sacredness to Junakwa.
Known by this nation as Zunukwa, this local Numgeese community member, Arthur Dick, has seen myth come alive when he encountered Zunukwa not once, but multiple times, which has left him terrified.
My first encounter was, I've had two. My first one was in January of 2015, walking in the trails. And then my second one was 2 weeks ago, walking the same trails. My encounter was her following me, and my dog was hiding in between my legs, and I wouldn't look back.
The Zunukwa is known for its pungent odor, often smelled before it's seen.
A very wet dog stink, but 10 times worse. She didn't make any noise when she was following me. And from here on, I started smelling Junakwa. And when I got further that way around the corner was where she was like right there. And I can feel her presence, and I just instantly knew what it was. Every hair on my body stood up.
The Zunukwa visits to Alert Bay are so frequent that Arthur began recording her alien, terrifying cries.
When I first heard Junakwa in 2015, it was 5:30 in the morning, and she started calling, and I knew instantly what it was. I've never heard it before, and it just went through my body and made all my hair stand up. And I just knew, like from soul to soul, what that was. No one said that's Junakwa. I just instantly knew. I've kept my encounters to myself in the beginning for 2 to 3 months, and then I shared with other people who I see as on the same level as I am, and they had the same encounters, same callings.
Known by different names such as Zunukwa, Wendigo, or Gagit, each native tribe has its own name for the Sasquatch. Despite the different names, the similarities are undeniable. Since 2005, Alert Bay has been plagued by encounters.
In our village of Alert Bay, Everyone's talking about the Zunaqua. My partner and I always go out and we walk our dog through the trails because there's lots of beautiful trails on this island. And we went for a walk. It was a calm day. There was no wind. So as we were going towards the trail, my partner went ahead with the dog, and I was kind of just taking my time. And just at this one point, he stopped, and he called out my name, and he goes, "Ange." And the next thing you know, out of nowhere, the tree just snapped from the middle. And it just went right through.
Sasquatch has been known to break trees in half or throw huge boulders at unwanted guests.
And I'm like, "Tony," and he goes, "I'm okay." And I went, "Where's Luna?" Like our dog. And he goes, she's right, she's here with me. And he goes, "Let's go, look." And I was like, I don't want to see, because I could feel there was energy around that tree, and I could hear the crackling behind the tree. And I thought, no, let's go. And then he goes, "I wonder what that was." And I went, "Okay, well, we're not going to stick around to see the Zunaqua if that's her."
Since that frightening experience, she has not returned to that trail.
I know that it's alive and well, and I'm not necessarily too interested in seeing her. If she has medicine for us, yes. But if it's just to freak me out and scare me, I'm like, no.
Two cousins had an experience with Zunaqua up in the trees in the corner there. And she's always near the graveyard and on the backside of Alert Bay. At one point, there was two of them here. There was one at the Anglican Church graveyard, and then there was one at the water tower, and they were talking to each other. One would answer, and then the other one would talk, and it just went back and forth. And it was too windy for me to get a recording of it, but it was just something that it was pretty amazing to experience too.
With dozens of encounters, it appears that something unexplainable to the outside world has no logical explanation.
Did you hear that noise? Because they do tree knocks, eh? And from my house where I recorded my sound of her, I yell, "Yo!" to her, and she'll answer me back. My sister has tried to, because she can hear it too, she's tried to yell at it, and it wouldn't answer her. We waited a few minutes, and then I yelled back, and she answered me. I'll say, she didn't make any noise when she was following me. The voices that I've heard are when I'm home, and she's calling from the water tower, which is just maybe 100 feet away, maybe, or more.
Remarkably, the entire native community here refers to this monster as a she. Is it possible that the Sasquatch could be a female?
She's real for sure.
For the first time, indigenous secret societies from a variety of nations have agreed to share their knowledge of the Sasquatch with the outside world.
Western culture's questions about the Sasquatch that they themselves believe. They have not seen them themselves, and they haven't been in Mother Nature as long as the native people. We hold indigenous secrets about Sasquatches. Our families have talked to them, have met them, that we don't want to share with the Western world.
We have been here thousands of years, and yes, we do celebrate Zunaqua.
From our perspective, our Kwakwaka'wakw culture has been living and thriving with Zunaqua being part of our traditions from the beginning of time. They're shared in our stories, they're shared in our songs, and Zunaqua is very real. I do really believe that.
One of the secrets held by the Kwakwaka'wakw people as part of their secret society refers to this terrifying beast as a she. Their cultural artifacts, songs, and legends support this remarkable finding.
Most often, she's referred to as female. The reason I believe in Zunaqua is because of my own culture, its beliefs, but as well as other cultures around the world with stories such as Bigfoot, the Yeti, Sasquatch, in our case, Zunaqua.
It's not Sasquatch in our territory, it's Zunaqua. One of the legends that Granny Aqua used to teach us when we were young was about Zunaqua, the wild woman of the woods. She's a big giant, big breasts, big wide mouth, and big sunken eyes. From what I understand from all the time I was growing up is that I've never known of a male Zunaqua. It's all the legends that we used to hear from our granny was always a female.
The Numgeese from Alert Bay believe that the large Zunaqua is a female and the smaller companion, Bokwas, is male.
It's a great historical perspective on the Sasquatch. It proves that stories of such creatures were here long before the white man ever arrived on the North American continent. It's part of their cultural identity.
Native people know so much. It is passed on in oral history in the context of myth and legend, and non-Native people have tended to dismiss myth and legend as sometimes even fictitious, made up, imagined, not factual in nature. And we need to scrutinize myth and legend more carefully. Again and again, what they've described is being described by pioneers and settlers, maybe only 100 years ago, and now, you know, even almost like, as I say, almost every week, there's an observation and someone describes it and says, but it's always such a shock. So these two casts, my wife Joan and I made these in 1987 in Strathcona Provincial Park. We were on a hike and saw the tracks, came back and cast them. Very nice casts, as you can see. These three were cast by a deer hunter up near Sayward on the east coast of Vancouver Island. Very, very nice cast. Here are these two juveniles showing the spread toes. Every person who sees a Sasquatch and says, oh my goodness, you know, they're essentially discovering this mammal for themselves, unaware that it's been discovered over and over and over by individuals and by cultures.
In this majestic area by Harrison Hot Springs, British Columbia, live the St'alis people. The name Sasquatch was coined here, Sasquatch being an anglicized St'alis word. Excited visitors book in expeditions like this one with shoreline tours, hoping to gather insight into the history of the Sasquatch.
And then our climax of our trip is where we come up to Sasquatch Provincial Park. And that's where we see pictographs. In the early 1920s, there was a group of scientists that were put together. I think it was about 200 of them in total. And they actually made Harrison Hot Springs their home for a little while. And from there, they would launch these hunts into the forest. And even till this day, you will find many, many people that come out here just to search and be that first person to capture that elusive mythical beast.
So we're approaching the rocks here where the pictographs are. It's right over there.
This is the portal that we have here. Now, this portal is believed to be a way for humans to transfer from human life into animal life. What it is actually, it's made with red ochre is what it's called, and that's what gives off that reddish hue, which then creates kind of a oxidization into the rock. And the scientists came in and they scraped some of it off, and they're carbon dating to thousands of years ago.
It's believed by many native tribes, portals such as this one are entry points to another world, a fourth dimension.
If you're a non-believer or not, I use the reference of between here and Spokane, Washington, there's been 5 airplanes that have gone down in the last 20 years. Not one of them has ever been found. So if airplanes can go down, who knows what's out there?
Pictographs and portals of Sasquatches are scattered throughout North America. In Tool River, California, this life-size pictograph shows a Sasquatch family.
They were everywhere, all the way from Alaska down to Northern California. It just verifies again that First Nations have been talking about these things for hundreds and hundreds of years.
I am a professionally trained anthropologist, and I have been working with tribes for the past 26 years. And so I've really gotten to know what their traditional beliefs in Sasquatch is. It's something they're taught from the beginning to respect this protector of the forest, the protector of the earth. It's just a part of who they are. So much so that there's many, many native tribes that if Sasquatch wasn't around, I don't know that their culture would be as strong as it is. It brings strength to them.
The St'Elas tribe celebrates a long and treasured history at Sasquatch Days in Harrison Hot Springs, British Columbia. Tourists flock to this majestic town, surrounded by vast forests, with the hopes of seeing this legendary creature. Researchers have Harrison Hot Springs on the short list for encounters. The St'Elas culture pays homage to the Sasquatch. It's so intertwined, it's safe to say that their traditions couldn't survive without this supernatural beast. Like this age-old Sasquatch song by Kelsey Charlie and his family. The St'Elas have lived alongside this creature for thousands of years. Libraries of knowledge and secrets inherited by leaders like Kelsey Charlie are being shared for the first time.
We have paintings that are thousands of years old, songs that go back generations and generations. We don't know how old they are. In my community, everybody believes that there is something there and it's not just something that we just learned about, it's something that's a part of us and it's been here for thousands of years. We're right in the midst of Sasquatch, which is Sasquatch Mountain, which they will only roam and move in at nighttime. So they call that Sasquatch'n, which is the mountain here. And he's right here, and that's where he crosses. You know, the reason why I'm doing this today is, you know, a lot of things are lost due to ignorance. We know that we're a part of it, and it's a part of us. The Sasquatch being a Salalakum, a supernatural being that's been a part of our emblem from our community since millennia.
The confidence Kelsey has in his culture was solidified during an unbelievable encounter.
I grew up here my whole life. I know where everything is. We even know where all the potholes are on the road. Driving, I was rushing, getting back to this place. I looked out where the creek ran into the lake, pulled around, and I said, I never seen that stump there before. So I slowed down to investigate. I had a little peek, and I looked over, and the thing moved. So I stopped. And then the lady that was with me, she was from Tanaha Nation. I said, you can see what I'm seeing there? And she said, yeah, I can see it. And she says, I can see the drips coming off of its hand. So the thing was squatted at the edge of the water, and it took a drink out of the water with its hand. And then it moved over, and there was a little one beside it, and it gave a drink out of its hand. So I told her, Taichoch Kwitslama, means I'm thanking you for allowing me to see you. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. It usually takes about an hour and a half to get back home from that spot. And it took me 45 minutes because I was just flying on the road because I couldn't even believe what I'd seen. We know that we're a part of it, and it's a part of us. The Sasquatch have been a part of our emblem from our community since millennia. I don't need to have any type of scientific evidence that's gonna change my perspective and my point of view on what I feel about this.
Believe in it, they do. Their knowledge of this creature has been shaped by their intimate connection to nature. And what they see is deeply disturbing.
My feelings about commercialism towards Sasquatch, that you wouldn't go around using the Save Star of David to advertise a beer. That is so taboo.
There you go.
They should respect us as Native people, not to be called as a mascot. You're not honoring us in any way. As Natives, we are being disrespected by people taking these beliefs that we have and advertising them as a commercial and trying to make profit off of it.
There's all kinds of television shows like, you know, Finding Bigfoot, this, that, and the other thing. The best way to describe them all is Duck Dynasty looks for Sasquatch. They're garbage. You know, the public perception is, oh, why are we going to take this seriously or believe anything we say? Because especially in the States, it's now become trendy to say you saw Sasquatch.
It's gone beyond trendy. Aspiring hunters are out to kill the Sasquatch for personal gain.
It's not something that you brag about or you don't broadcast. It's something that it's sacred. You see those things on TV now. Oh, we're the Sasquatch hunters. I don't think it's a joke. I don't think it's something that you take lightly. It's a Silalican. It's a supernatural being that's been within my people for, thousands of years, thousands of generations. And you'd never hear us talk about it in that light. My grandpa always said that, no, they'll find you, you don't find it. You have to be at that right place at that right time with the right frame of mind. And he also told me that they will never ever find him or they will never ever capture him because he lives in the two realms. He can change from physical to spiritual, so he can shapeshift.
In 2012, a Squamish Nation band member had a sighting of the Sasquatch that was so unbelievable, it ended with a lie detector test. Eric Baker's at home in nature. He and his brother have their favorite hunting spot near Cat Lake, north of Vancouver, BC.
I was very skeptical and hesitant to tell my story or to even share it. We know our treasures. We know our stories, we know our histories, we know our secrets, and we don't really need to run and share and convey them. That's why when we practice in our winter ceremonies or any of our cultural ceremonies, whether it's powwow, potlatch, or whatever it may be, that we know it's already there. We don't need to publicize it for everybody.
For Eric, myth would become fact when his encounter with a Sasquatch changed him forever.
This loop here is called Brome Ridge. It's one of our old hunting trails. When we're coming down, you'd see where the tree line, the clear cuts ends or starts.
Eric's keen eye saw something far away in the brush.
And I noticed something moving because I was always taught as a hunter, you look for what doesn't belong there. And right away, I'd seen something move, and I said, oh, hey, wait, stop. And when we stopped to look, immediately looked at my brother and said, hey, you know, it's a good chance it's a Sasquatch. It's almost like you could watch nightfall, like literally like a blanket fall on top of the vehicle. I looked at the watch, I'm like, it's not getting dark, is it? I'm like, this is weird. My dog's not really scared of anything. You know, he chased bears, and he was in the back of the truck whimpering, shaking, crying, and he would not for the life of him get out of it. So I put my flashlight on it, and when it turned to look at us, it turned really sharp and very clear. And when it looked, the eyes were so green and they almost like projected.
Eric also noticed that the creature was desperately attempting to escape into a crack in the solid rock face.
Right over there, there's a big rock face there kind of sticking out of the hill. It was more on this side, the left side of the rock, scurrying. It's almost like he was trying to open a door.
But why would a Sasquatch try to escape facing a solid rock formation? Is it possible that Eric Baker unwittingly discovered a portal?
The whole time while we're here, they were scurrying, looking over his shoulders, trying to get right into whatever this is here. And you can see the shoulder definition. And it was like on his top upper shoulder, there's like a light gray. And in the middle of the back, it was almost like black. My Uncle Buck, or Alroy Baker, he's one of my spiritual or my cultural mentors. And when I came across this experience, I seen him one day, and something told me inside to just share. And that's when he told me that in this area, there's several portals, and there's a good chance that this is one of them. I was very hesitant because a lot of people look at me like, sure.
Unbelievable it is. Could Eric Baker's revolutionary discovery be evidence of the unworldly nature of the Sasquatch? To determine truth or lie, Eric Baker took a polygraph test.
I am absolutely not interested in any white lies. So, do you have a history of telling serious lies?
No, I would say no. Not really sure what to expect. I believe what I saw, and it's exciting and nervous at the same time because you don't know how accurate that test is going to be.
Have you lied about what you believed you saw on October 2014? What you believed to have been a Sasquatch?
No. It was a little intense sitting on a polygraph. I would hope there would be, accurate and, for like real, no lies. For myself, I know what I've seen. However, we'll find out soon enough.
Good. You would take all those question sets together, all three of them. We count them together, and we would get a score of no deception indicator. So in other words, he believed what he saw on that day.
I believe I got to witness my experience out of a gift or a blessing. I believe their message to us is that, there's still the supernatural realm or the supernatural powers and beings are still amongst this earth, this energy. We don't believe it today. We believe it's more of a myth because I believe people believe it as a myth because they're so detached from that spiritual connection or the energy of what supernatural beings are. The message I take from it is they are still around.
For Indigenous peoples, it's considered an epic blessing to have seen, dreamed, or heard a Sasquatch.
Have you ever had a dream where you could feel the trees and the air and you can hear the environment going on around you? And all of a sudden, you think it's real. You think you're there.
In a time of great despair, actor and traditionalist Jonathan Brewer received help from an unlikely source. It came in the way of a vision.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this blurry vision comes walking into sight. And it's a very tall figure, and it's Sasquatch. The Sasquatch comes walking in, and I felt fear. I was scared. Although at the same time, I thought I shouldn't be scared because they don't show themselves to anybody. This is a good thing. They stopped and they spoke to me. But they didn't speak with their mouths. They spoke with their mind, with telepathy. And they told me something bad was going to happen. They were here to protect me and protect my family and give me that medicine. They said, we'll show you what's going to happen. And these wolves came out and attacked me. And these wolves were representations of the people that were coming to attack me.
He understood that the Sasquatch was offering him a blessing beyond the comprehension of the Western world.
The Sasquatch just said, okay, we're going to protect you. And when they came to attack me, they blocked them. And they said, okay, now we're going to go hunt. He says, but know that we are there for you. After that dream, we went to a ceremony and we had the sweat lodge, which is like going to church. So the medicine man that was at this sweat lodge, he talks to spirits and he can relay their messages. And he told me it's not a gift they give all the time because they don't come out all the time. They don't come to people in their visions. It's very rare. And if they do, you know, be very thankful. And I went out and I offered tobacco for them because that can be used on both worlds, in the spirit world or in our world.
A universal indigenous perspective of the Sasquatch was born from thousands of years of oral records throughout North America.
The Sasquatch is, to my Dene people, a higher power and a high spirit up in the mountains, a grandfather, a grandmother spirit. They are our grandmothers and our grandfathers who we derive from, who we come from. That's where our lineage comes from.
Could the origins of man actually coexist with the Sasquatch? Is it possible we are related to the beast that hundreds attempt to gain notoriety by killing?
You know, long ago, we were all one nation, we were all one people with the Sasquatch people. Long ago, our people, if they saw one, they would make offerings, they would make prayers, they would greet each other as one, just like our prayers and our songs.
We humans, I don't know how to say this, I think we have a tendency towards arrogance. Maybe that's a fair statement, in that, you know, we do insist on a very wide gulf between humans and other animals. And maybe that gulf shouldn't be treated quite as wide as we treat it, especially when it comes to primates. Now, we in North America don't really think about wild primates. You know, in Africa, of course, you know, people coexist alongside gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos. Well, we have the Sasquatch here as a very evolved primate. Well, I will say living alongside us, yeah, more or less. Maybe distantly, maybe not very often in contact or being observed, but here nevertheless.
We actually have a story here in Tuolumne County where a small child was lost and crying, confused. And a Sasquatch took that child and got him back close enough to where he had disappeared that the rescuers were able to hear him and rescued him. And he told them it was this big hairy thing that came and got me and led me home. And to me, the only thing that could be is a Sasquatch.
In the past, for many indigenous peoples, encounters with the Sasquatch were different than today. They were considered a blessing of great wealth.
If you happen to hear the Zunilqua's cry, for example, people say it's a good omen and it will bestow wealth onto you in your life. Great coppers and maybe songs or dances, other rights and privileges from the Zunilqua.
When our people see a Sasquatch, whether it's through spirit, through a ceremony, through a dream, through a physical form, through the forest, it's a really good thing to see one. It's a really good blessing. It's a very spiritual blessing.
There is entities beyond this plane of existence. We're not just humans here. Seeing and believing, yes, it is believing. But there are things out there that humans are gifted to see or lucky to see, I'd say. I mean, accept it.
The Sasquatch, known by many native peoples, is considered a relative, shape-shifter, and most importantly, guardian of the environment. It's a monumental position, maintaining the balance within the natural world. Old Dene stories say, at one time, we were all connected.
The Sasquatch is a guardian of the forest, a guardian of the mountains. Our people believe that she is a grandmother and the leader of the forest people and the mountain people. They know a lot more than us humans. They're a lot smarter than us. A long time ago, we were split. When we split from them, you know, the humans became different, like a lot of colonization came around.
With colonization came a radically different worldview with no regard for Mother Earth.
There was no respect no more because us humans did not respect this earth. They say that we didn't respect the sky anymore. We didn't respect anything. We didn't respect the forest or the mountains no more. The Sasquatch left. They vanished. They fled.
Native people have always taught me that Sasquatch is the protector of the forest is because he's the thing that keeps the circle. And so he's the key that brings all animals together, all the water together, all the land together. And so he's like the pinch point. Without him, then you would have more bears eating humans or, you know, all these bad things that we want to think about. So he keeps nature running the way it was always meant to be by the Creator.
The Sasquatch, known by many native peoples as a supernatural being, is faced with the monumental task of protecting the earth from one of its most destructive inhabitants, man.
The spirit of the Sasquatch is that we have to look after everything. You know, we have songs that talk about how at the turn of the century when they came and they cut down all of the forest, where they didn't know where anything was anymore because it all looked different. Oh, where I used to roam, it makes me sad and it makes me cry to see where I used to walk.
Native Americans believe that when Sasquatch is gone, the Mother Earth is going to have to cleanse itself, and that's the start of whatever this new world is, and it won't likely be dumb enough, if you want to use that word, to have humans as part of that new world.
Some First Nations believe the increased sightings of Sasquatch are tied to the end of the world as we know it today.
With the world changing, constant pressure upon Earth taking its oil and extracting that fracking and air pollution, everything is just, making this world closer and closer into uninhabitable.
The tribal elders that I have worked with believe very, very strongly that something pretty bad is coming very soon. I remember when I had my grandchild, I had a tribal elder tell me basically that love him as much as you can right now because there may not be time to see him grow. And I said, what does that mean? And I just got a shiver because I remember that feeling of going, I don't have time to raise my grandchild.
Their predictions tell the story of an end, authored by man's consumption.
And it is heartbreaking because something really bad on the equivalence of drought, famine, lots of loss of life, and it's going to change everything of how we live fairly soon, and it is tied to Sasquatch. And in my mind, there's no reason to believe that science is going to fix the problem. If science was going to fix it, we would have already fixed it. We can't make new oxygen.
Our people have ways that conserved our resources. They have ways of practicing our customs that kept us alive for all those years. And I think what we see today, maybe people should start listening to what we have to say.
Our ways work. It's always about bringing connecting to everything, all living things. So I'm a lover of the land, I'm a lover of the water, everything that flies in the sky. That's who we are as a people. That's our brothers and sisters, the two-legged and four-legged. It's about everything.
Our belief is that there was agreements and there was arrangements with all living things and that we are just a part of it. That's why they say all my relations. We need all of our relations to survive.
We should be giving back to nature, not taking. And Sasquatch is trying to give us that warning. It's telling us, hey, I'm gonna be here over here, I'm here, I'm there. And they're trying to warn us. So it's up to us to listen to those messages and to start praying and start doing.
Is it possible the Sasquatch has witnessed the destruction of our planet, and she's desperately attempting to help us save it?
We don't want to be the generation that loses these things. Open your Queen Am's, open your ears and your heart to listen to what the elders have shared with us. And, then things are gonna start, falling back into place.
Our Earth is in a really, really critical state. We only got one chance here to take care of what we have. My people, our Diné people, we think what we need to do to save Mother Earth. We think it's very important that people need to care about the existence of the Sasquatch and knowing the powers that they have. One of the things I would tell the Sasquatch is to bless our people, to be there, to help us humans to better understand, ourselves and where we're at in this world.
Indigenous people have shared their secret knowledge in an attempt to underscore the messages from the Sasquatch. It's our individual choice to hear what is being said.